Hey everyone. For today's video, I'm tempted to go on a little rant here, but there's something I've thought about rather often in my adult life, and I even used to think about this in high school, so it's been a problem that's been around for quite some time. But there's an issue that I'm sure all of us have encountered when dating. Heck, we've probably even been the ones perpetrating this kind of behavior ourselves. But what I'm referring to here is when people are incredibly afraid of letting their intentions be known. So, with that, they tend to play a lot of mind games and do other stupid things that they're doing to try to avoid pain, trying to avoid getting hurt and, end up in a situation where the other person rejects you or breaks up with you or leaves you or ghosts you for whatever other reason. But the ironic thing here is that quite often, when people don't let their intentions be known, when they're not honest, when they're not authentic, they end up creating that negative outcome that they're trying to avoid. Like they create self-fulfilling prophecies and don't even realize it. Or they could end up being the one who rejects or breaks up with the other person first, but then they could be leaving a good outcome on the table, but they're walking away from it. So it's just mind-boggling to me how so many people do this. Like, I understand a lot of the psychology behind why people behave in this way. They're trying to avoid that pain due to insecurities and other things. Maybe they have a fear of abandonment because their parents weren't around all the time. Maybe their parents didn't show them a lot of love. There's so many things that could be that are playing a factor here. But I really wish more people grew up knowing these things, because there's so many broken people out there in the dating world, and they've basically created a modern dating landscape that is horrible to navigate for anyone who's actually trying to find a legitimate relationship, trying to find that person they can tackle the world with. Because there are, thankfully, still a lot of people out there like that. I know this because I'm one of them, and I've surrounded myself with other people like this. A lot of my friends, they're the same way. Even my guy friends, they want a legit relationship and not just to sleep around and, get their get their parts wet, for lack of a better analogy. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people out there who still want something real, but even a lot of them go about dating in just the most horrible way, where they don't let their intentions be known. They don't speak to the fact that they're looking for something real. And I get that a lot of people will be scared by you saying that nowadays because of all these ridiculous things where people have these commitment issues due to online dating and social media. They feel they have so many options at their fingertips that why should they pick the first good one that comes along, because what if there's something better? But I've already talked in plenty of other videos. Maybe there isn't always someone better, so don't fool yourself. You could lose out on someone good just because you think that you can find someone better. Maybe you can't, especially if you haven't worked on yourself, so make sure you're doing that, because that's the only thing that will allow you to attract someone truly great. I mean, you could get lucky in that regard, but the odds are so low, I wager you have better odds of winning the lottery, because all the people I know who work on themselves, they are not going to go after someone who hasn't done so as well. They've gotten burned too many times to make that mistake, so they just won't do it. So yeah, I mean, but let me dive in to the nuts and bolts of what I want to discuss in this video before I head off into ramble territory. But so many people just aren't honest or authentic when dating. If they really like someone, they don't speak to it. They basically leave everything as like a game where you're meant to read the other person's mind or analyze the hell out of their actions to have an idea of where they stand with you and where you stand with them. So I get that, like, dating is a bit of that game where, not everything is laid out on the table, but usually mature people can handle playing or revealing their cards without it being an issue. But so many people don't want to do that nowadays because they're afraid. They're afraid that if they are honest and authentic and they tell someone that they really like them and are really interested in them, that they'll scare that person away. And maybe that will happen, but I wager that only really happens for people who aren't a good match for you anyway. I mean, someone who's worked on themselves, the only way you being honest to them about your feelings will result in a bad outcome is if they don't like you back, and that's okay. They're probably going to let you down in a gentle way because they've worked on themselves and That usually means they're not going to want to hurt your feelings because they've been there. So quite often you'll find the more honest and authentic you are when dating, the more you save your time and actually save yourself from potential pain. I mean, yeah, you'll still deal with rejection, but at least you'll deal with it right away rather than further down the road when you've started to fall for someone and develop all these feelings and attachments to them. If you get rejected within like the first 3 dates, that is good. That's what you want. But if you aren't honest and authentic with the other person and it turns out they're a bad match for you, well, now you're going to get rejected somewhere further down the road. It could be months, maybe even years if you're unlucky, into dating them. And at that point, that rejection is going to really hurt. So, well, one, try not to fear rejection so much. It really isn't a bad thing. It's just a way for you to find out that someone isn't a good match for you. Even if you really like them, you just have to accept that and move forward. That's all you can do. You can't get them to stay with you. You can't hold them against their will. If they don't want to be with you, let them go. You should try to choose people who also choose you because they'll reciprocate all your effort and energy. And in general, when you're dating, try to be honest and authentic. I know that it can be scary. I know that it can be difficult, but here's the thing. As I said earlier, it will save your time. And you want to get to a point where you're working on yourself enough that you really value your own opinion of yourself, because that'll make it easier to handle rejection. When other people reject you, as I said in yesterday's video, you can just think of it as you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, because if you're working on yourself, you're going to likely be a good match for many other people out there, but that doesn't mean they'll choose you, because not everyone's able to tell when they've met someone great. But even beyond that, you should feel comfortable enough telling your feelings to someone else, and if it results in any bad outcome, you shouldn't care. You should be like, okay, well, I tried my best. I was honest with you. If you can't handle that, well, I'm leaving to find more mature people who actually will, or if they don't reciprocate your feelings, at least now you know, and then you can move on again. So basically, my whole point in this video is that when you're honest and authentic about your intentions up front with someone else, all that ever does is get rid of people who aren't good matches for you anyway, because now they know what you want, and if they haven't worked on themselves enough to meet you on that same playing field, they're going to run away. You want that. You want that sooner rather than later, because you don't want to waste your time on people who aren't meant for you. So let them go, and then continue being honest and authentic with the other people you date. Like, you shouldn't even be worrying about those mind games of like, what should I say to them, or how should I react if they do X, Y, or Z, or if they say this. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't care what they think of you. You should just want to be yourself around them. I've gotten to a point where I don't really care if I'm the first to tell a woman that I really find her attractive. I mean, I haven't gotten to this point where I've ever told a woman I love her, because unfortunately I just haven't met any women great enough for me to actually fall in love with them yet. So I can't quite speak to that, but I feel like I'm at a point where I wouldn't feel any remorse over declaring that to a woman, even if I said it first, because I wouldn't be expecting anything from her. I wouldn't be telling it to her because I want her to say it back. I would just be honest about my feelings. And if she doesn't reciprocate that, good. I'd rather find out right then and there and be like, oh, you don't love me back? Well, I mean, hopefully you'll continue sticking around with me until maybe you grow your feelings enough. Or if you realize that I'm not the one for you, then thank you for letting me know. This sucks because I do love you, but I'm out. Bye. I'm not going to waste my time and energy. I feel like that's where I'm at now. Or at least that's where I hope I would be if that situation were to present itself. But that's the way more people ought to be. Like, you shouldn't get so concerned over these little games and whatnot, over how someone views you, how they're judging you, whether or not you're showing up as like powerful or dominant, or any of that crap mind games that people will play. Like, I sometimes get guys asking me how to react to certain things women say, and I'm just, in my head, I'm like, you're thinking way too much about what she thinks of you. You're caring too much what she thinks of you. Why? Just let it go. Who cares? Just express yourself. If she can't handle that, then oh well, move on. Like, who cares? I know it sounds a bit callous, but it's more so that you just need to be rock solid in yourself. Have high self-esteem, care about your own opinion of yourself. And if a woman or a man doesn't like that, that's fine. just move on without them. They're not the right one for you then. So, yeah, you can tell I'm really passionate about this. Relationships are pretty much one of the things I'm most passionate about, beyond like just mindset in general. But a lot of relationship stuff is mindset anyway. But yeah, I really am passionate about this realm of human life, and it pains me to see so many people go about this in the wrong way. And a lot of a lot of what I share here is from experience, because I went through all these things myself. I made all those mistakes. I cared way too much what women thought of me when I was younger, and they knew. So it didn't lead to good outcomes because they could tell that I was needy. And now that I'm finally in a good place, I'm having to deal with like so many women who just won't be honest and authentic, won't put their intentions up front, and then some of them get scared when I tell them what I'm looking for, what I'm doing here, and it's just sad to see. It really is, because some of these women I actually do end up liking quite a bit, and I'm hoping that things will go well with them, and then they don't, and I'm like, well, this sucked. There could have been potential there, but now I have to exit because you're not ready, and oh well, what can you do, right? It's just one of those things. So it's unfortunate. Modern dating is in a very weird place because so few people have worked on themselves enough to be able to do everything I already mentioned prior in this video. So yeah, you just got to keep working on yourself, getting to that place where you don't care so much what others think of you, so you have the courage to be honest and authentic with them and let them know how you feel. And if they can't reciprocate your feelings for whatever reason, well, you can either give them some time to show whether or not that potential is in them, or you just leave because they're not ready for you. They don't want what you have to offer. They don't find you attractive, or for whatever reason. Yeah, just, if they're not choosing you, don't waste your time and energy on them. Choose yourself in their stead and continue making your life awesome. But that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. I feel like this was all over the place, but I hope you understood my gist here, because yeah, modern dating is weird, but it'll be good once I start editing these videos and I can make things a lot more coherent. But for now, this is purely like passionate stream of consciousness, so I hope you got something out of it. But if you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe for more content like this. Otherwise, throw a like on the video to help me out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!